Welcome back to Love Daniela. I'm so happy that you're here. This episode I feel like is needed. It's needed for us all. The pressure to have it all figured out by the age of 30. I have been feeling that pressure. My birthday's coming up, so I wanted to do a whole episode on this. But let's start with our highs and our lows. My high is I've been making a lot of new friends. First of all, daylight savings. That's my high. Daylight savings, I don't know if ended, I don't know. But the sun is setting at 7:30, not 5 o'clock, not 4:30. I'm so excited. So I feel like already revived then, but I feel like that's making me re-inspired. I've already hung out with 2 new friends in the last 2 weeks, and I love them both. I'm so happy about it. And I always feel like it's a scary thing making new friends, but I constantly want to do that. I feel like sometimes we get so complacent with, oh my gosh, we already have our best friends, or we have the friends that we hang out with all the time, so you don't make new connections. But then you miss out on all these opportunities to meet these beautiful human beings, and I just feel like it's so good. So I need to keep doing that and keep that momentum up and just make connection and meet new people. But I have 2 new friends. One of the friends I literally hung out with for a week straight because we had a bunch of events for South by, and I love her so much. So I'm this is so fun. And I feel like I'll just keep meeting new people over the summer. It's going to be perfect. And then my low, to kind of tie into that, finding balance. I've been going to a lot of events. I've been hanging out with a lot of people. I've been wanting to socialize. I feel out of my rut that I've been in from just wanting to hermit in the winter. And so I'm really excited to hang out with all these people, but I'm having a hard time finding balance with everything. It's so hard to be present and then also do social media, because when you're doing those things, it's okay, well, if I'm going to do these things, at least I need to film it. And I've been trying to find balance between everything of being present, living in the moment, but then also filming and working and taking the time to sit down and podcast and do my vlogs and all of that stuff. So we're finding that balance, but obviously everything takes time. So I'm back in my social phase. We'll figure out what that entails with the work and how to balance it all. But right now it's definitely I feel overwhelmed with how much I've put on my plate. I've been having so much fun, but also slightly overwhelmed. But that's okay. That's okay. So today we're diving into the pressure to have everything figured out by 30. I don't know why we have this in place in our society, but I have been feeling the pressure. So this year I turned 27. I'm feeling the pressure. I feel like I've always kind of put that societal pressure on myself. Originally, I always thought I would meet the love of my life in my 20s, early 20s. I would be married by 24. I would be popping out babies by 25, 26. And I'd also, during all of that, be so financially free where I can travel wherever I want and do whatever I want. And I was by 30, I'm gonna be done. Popped out all the babies, married, financially stable. I've got my life figured out. No, I'm 27 and I am just a girl. I'm just a girl. But I do feel like there is a big societal expectation on women, and I don't know if we put that on ourselves, but I mean, when you start getting to this age, I have my mom calling me, when are you going to be popping out babies? And I'm whoa, I am still a child. I am a teenager. But obviously that is what I want. I just it's so crazy that you just are expected to have it all figured out by 30, and I feel like I have nothing figured out. I'm finally stepping into myself and finally learning who I am as a person. I feel like I went my early 20s to mid to really not knowing who I was, not knowing what I wanted out of life, really not knowing anything about myself. And I finally feel like I'm exploring and I'm finding what I like, what I don't like, the people I like surrounding myself with. I finally feel in a good groove. And now you want to place all of these changes on me. I'm let me live for a little bit. Let me just figure it out by myself for a little bit. But there is this weird societal expectation to have it all figured out by 30. It kind of feels like a race to the finish line. Once you hit 30, you're done with everything. And I don't know why, because we have so much life to live. 20, 30, like that's such a small portion of your life. And when we're constantly thinking we have to get there, you're not living in the present. You're so focused and worried about that finish line of completing all of those things. But the whole fun process of it all is figuring it out, is learning, is making mistakes, and then picking yourself back up. That's the fun part. When you have everything figured out, you have to find purpose. And I feel like all of those things, obviously, yes, they will be exciting one day. To be financially free will be so exciting one day. To like be married, to have kids, all of those things will be exciting, but don't allow that excitement for your future to dim what your present looks like. If that's not where you're at right now, you don't have kids, you don't have a boyfriend, or you're not married, or you don't feel like you're in a financial position that you want to be in, don't make it all about reaching that finish line, and be present in what it is you're doing now. You get to go out with your girls when you want to, you get to travel when you want to, you don't have the pressure of having to care for other humans. So if that's where you're out in your life, don't allow society to make it so that you're not enjoying yourself. You should enjoy every step of the way. I think these societal expectations obviously happened with the media, but it's also a very family thing. I think when I'm 27, when my parents and our parents grew up, it was very normal to have kids when you were young. My mom had my sister at 26 and me at 27. And thinking about that, I'm like, I am a child. But a lot of people had kids in their mid-20s. I think it's a little more normalized to not have kids until you're in your 30s now, which I am so grateful. That's my generation. Because I think we think about it a lot more. Obviously, our economy has changed. It's not as affordable to have a baby as it was back in the day. And you have to think about all those things. It's not just like a spur of the moment, let's have a baby. There's a lot of thought that goes into it. But I just think that like how our parents grew up, they grew up in a time where a lot of things weren't discussed as much as it's discussed now, because we have social media, we have TikTok, we have people talking about things, which makes it feel more normal if you're not at that stage of life. There's also family expectations, where families will tell you you need to be married by here, this, and this. And that is so scary. And you know what? My mom said, I will never be that mom, because her mom did that. My grandma did that to my mom and said, when are you giving me grandbabies? Guess what my mom's doing? She's getting to the age where she's asking me where her grandbabies are. Yes, she is. And obviously she's not like putting an immense amount of pressure on me, but like she'll make the little comments. She'll make the little comments of, you know, I would love a little baby sometime soon. And I'm like, it's no time soon. So I think family has a big thing, but you are living your life for you. We are all on different timelines. You could have friends back in high school. I have so many people that I knew from high school that have full-blown families, married with 4 children. And I'm like, huh? Like, people are at different stages of life. So if you're not at that stage of life, do not think that this is just sunshine and rainbows. It is normal that some people do that right out of high school. It is normal that some people wait until they're in their mid-30s, late 30s, 40s sometimes. I also feel like we have this ticking time bomb, which is I think the worst part. I don't think I would put as much pressure on myself if it was not so hounded in my brain that we have this ticking time bomb in our bodies, that you don't have babies as easily when you get to your 30s. So that's why I always had this expectation that I would have all my babies before I turned 30. Like that was like, that's my timeline. And I have so many people that I know now that are in their 30s having kids, and it might not have been as easy, but they still had them and they're still thriving. And I feel like they have their life in order and they feel a lot more confident having a kid now than some people that I knew that had kids in their 20s, and they feel like they didn't really get to enjoy their youth at all. So that is something that kind of weighs on me, and I wish that wasn't a thing, because I feel like guys don't really have to worry about that. They can have kids literally whenever, but when we bear a child inside of us, we kind of have to think about that and like the dangers and precautions. So I completely get why we have this societal norm in place, because they scare you. They scare you into thinking that you have to complete everything by 30. But I just think it's a myth. I think, yes, it's harder. It's probably way easier at 21, but that doesn't mean that's the path you have to go down. I also think there's this fear of falling behind. And when all of your friends are getting married all at once or getting engaged all at once or having kids, it feels like you are the odd one out, where everyone is completing these like goals and things that you've talked about when you were kids, and they're all crossing the finish line, and then you're falling back. You feel like you're falling behind. You put this pressure on yourself to complete this goal that everyone had. But it is so normal for everyone to be down different paths, but I get that it can feel a little isolating if everyone feels like they're going down the same path and you're not there. You're not there physically, mentally, whatever it is, but that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, because we are not meant to all go down the same path. Everyone's path is completely different. You're not going to fall in line with every single one of your friends the exact same timeline. As much as that would be so fun, and it would be amazing that you could all get engaged at the same time, all have babies at the same time, that is not reality for most. Some friend groups, they go off, but that's not reality. There are so many different paths that someone can take. You can be so focused on your career while someone else is so focused on building a family. And both things are correct. Both things are allowed. You're allowed to just want to focus on your career in your 20s and not even worry about relationships. You're allowed to build a family if you want to in your 20s. You're allowed to fall down whatever path you want to fall down, but everyone's is different. So you can't compare your journey and your path to some homegirl over here that has a completely different path and trajectory as you. I've also talked about this in a different episode, but exploration is also very important in your 20s, and exploring who you are. I feel, like I said, I have learned so much about myself in the last 3 years than I've ever learned about myself. And it's like your frontal lobe develops, and I know they say 25, and I thought, am I going to feel really that different when I turn 25? When I tell you, the person that I was before 25, if you've only met that version of me, you have no idea who I am. You have no idea who I am. I feel like when this frontal lobe developed, I am in shock. The things that I put up with before I was 25, relationships and friendships, the things that I was doing, I think about that and it feels not even me. I feel like I'm watching someone that's not me. And it's so weird. It's like I snapped my finger and my brain fully developed, and now I just have this full sense of self and who I am. And it's so weird because I really thought it was a myth, but I really think that once you hit that 25, 26, you really learn who you are, and you just need to explore that further. I feel like I'm in such an exploration phase of life and really learning so much about myself and loving myself more than I've ever loved myself before. It's great. So embrace the process, not the timeline. Throw the timeline in the trash. Things are happening at the time they are supposed to happen. And celebrate your small wins. Don't just think about these big life moments and dim the little wins that you have in your life. We all have small wins. And just because someone's popping out a baby does not mean that your small wins shouldn't be celebrated. Celebrate those small moments in life. Growth is a process, so just remember, life is not a race. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy every little stop in between. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys so, so much. Subscribe, whatever platform you're on, engage somehow. Spotify, Apple Music, anything and everything helps. I'll see you next Thursday.